What is up? What is up, YouTube? How are you guys doing today? We are back for another one. We are finally at the Bees. Today's video is going to be all about Baby 5. Now, Baby 5 is a pirate and the wife of Sai, the Hapo Navy's 13th leader. She is the former servant and assassin of the Don Quixote pirates, serving as an officer in the Pica Army, which is a faction of the Don Quixote pirates. Her real name has not been revealed, as Baby 5 is a codename given to her upon joining the Don Quixote pirates. Due to her actions, she is a minor antagonist during the Punk Hazard arc and a supporting antagonist in the Dressrosa arc. Before finally becoming an ally of the Straw Hat Pirates after her engagement with Sai in the same Dressrosa arc. Alright, now moving on to her other stuff. Alright, moving on to her personality. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, this one kinda hits, right, I feel like what One Piece does very well is they take, villains and antagonists and they, I don't want to say, humanize them, but they give them, oh damn, I can see why he did that or she did that kind of thing. Certain villains absolutely not. But other villains, like in this case, Baby 5, I can see why her motivation is what it is, right? So she was abandoned by her mother as an infant, and the one thing her mom stressed to Baby 5 when she abandoned her is how useless she was to everybody, and because of that, the trauma that gave her, obviously gave her trauma, stuck with her. So now as an adult, she is unable to refuse anything asked of her, right? Like someone says, hey, can you do this? Hey, do this. Hey, do that. Hey, don't do this. Hey, don't do that. She does it automatically. And it's to the point where she will kill herself if asked, right? So in her fight with Sai, before they become engaged, Sai, they're fighting and they're talking at each other and everything. And she's all like, you want me? Like, oh my God, you want me? And he goes, I want you to kill yourself, not thinking she'd do it. And she pulls her fucking gun out, points it at her head and goes, I'm gonna do it. And he goes, hold up. I don't feel comfortable with that. But yeah, so a lot of trauma, that kind of really drives her character. Yeah, as a result, she has a debt, not a bounty, a debt of 98 million berries and 8 late fiancés that have all been killed, I think, by Doflamingo or the Don Quixote pirates. She's a very effective assassin, and if she marries off, she's no longer an assassin. So what's the best way to keep an assassin that will not refuse any order? Kill everybody she could ever love. But yeah, so she just incredibly traumatized, and through that is incredibly manipulated throughout the entire time we know her. And I think the one good thing that happens to her is she meets Sai, and in her fight with Sai, they stop fighting, and well, she falls in love with him instantly. I think he gradually falls in love with her. They do end up officially getting married in one of the cover stories. So yeah, that was Baby 5's personality. All right, now we move into Baby 5's relationships, and for this one, I'm gonna have to read a little bit more from my other screen because there's a lot, right? So we're starting with her biological mother. They did not have a good relationship, as was evident in the last part. Her mom abandoned her, called her useless, left her with an ungodly amount of trauma. All right, Sai. They originally fought against each other. During her fight with him, she had a misunderstanding where she interpreted his words as a series of romantic pickup lines, because trauma. In his opposition to her tendency to do what is asked of her. So like I said, she thinks he's flirting. He thinks some weird shit's going on. He says, kill yourself so the fight's over, and she, pops up and does it. Lao Ji told her to kill herself, but she almost did, but he actually physically stopped her. And Sai stopped Baby 5 from killing herself and said, I'm not with that. And then because of that, Lao Ji, which is a member of the Don Quixote pirates, challenged Sai in an attempt to thwart the supposed proposal. Realizing she had spent her life feeling useless, he vowed to make her his wife if he won, much to her joy. And obviously, following the feel-good path that this arc was taking in this specific subplot, he did win. Also, I think he had to win because he's a major part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. So So now that I'm thinking about it, Oda kind of trapped himself into making that happy ending happen, because can't kill off Sai, and if you kill off Baby 5, then that's like traumatic. Trauma's the big overarching theme for this character, I feel. But yeah, moving on, her relationship with Qin Zhao, which is Sai's father. At first, Qin Zhao and Baby 5, enemies, right? Even after Sai and Baby 5 have their whole weird little back and forth fight thing, Qin Zhao still isn't with her. In fact, Qin Zhao gets into a fight with Sai because Sai stopped Baby 5 from killing herself. He says, you should let the enemy do that. He says, absolutely not. That's not like a fair fight. That's not right? Like, I can't allow that to happen. That doesn't sit right with me. So they get into a fight, and in that fight, he actually re-straightens Qin Zhao's drill by kicking him in the head so hard that his thing pops back up. After this, Qin Zhao permitted Sai to call off his engagement to his previous wife. Thought that was, maybe just a little bit I should slide in there. He was previously engaged to a woman named Euholicia. Something like that. Broke off his engagement with her, married Baby 5, because honestly, Baby 5's pretty badass. Now moving on to her relationship with the Don Quixote crew, her relationship with Doflamingo. She has been a long-standing member of the Don Quixote Pirates, but even as an active member, she has a grudge against her captain. I'm pretty sure she hates him for killing all of her fiancés. All of them. Like I said, trauma. However, when Doflamingo asks her to do anything, she does it because of her trauma and her drive to be needed. Which infuriated by the deaths of her fiancé. She refers to him as Joker rather than his true name, or as how the other members refer to him as Young Master. I don't think he actually ever finds out about her betrayal, because when she betrays him, he's already fighting Law and Luffy. So unless someone in jail tells him that Baby 5 betrayed him, Homeboy thinks she's either dead or in jail with him. Now moving on, Pika, the person she served directly under as she was a member of the Pika army. Not much is known about her relationship with Pika, but as an elite officer of the Don Quixote Pirates and the leader of Baby 5's division, Pika was treated with a great deal of respect to the point of shooting a grunt for laughing at Pika's high-pitched voice. And when we eventually do get to Pika, that is something I will be actively making fun of him for the entire time, right? Dude's built like Kaido, not like literally like Kaido. Dude's big, ripped as shit, full body hockey, all of that. Sounds like a 5-year-old on helium. Absolutely hilarious. But because it's so funny, very anal about it. So anytime someone laughs, they get murked, and Baby 5 popped somebody for him. That's pretty much the extent of their relationship. Moving on to Treble. Treble is one of the top officers in the Don Quixote Pirates. He is quite uncaring and casual with Baby 5 in all regards to her, often making jokes about her willingness to commit suicide if asked, and actively making fun of her dead fiancés that Doflamingo has killed. Baby 5 does not seem to be very fond of him either, chiding him for getting too close to her when they talk and for his crude remarks. Moving on to Gladius. They don't seem to interact very much at all, talking very casually. Baby 5 showed worry when he got angry, but other than that, not much. Buffalo. Now, Buffalo and Baby 5 are quite well acquainted. They are the pair that Doflamingo sends to Punk Hazard to handle the issue. They've been well acquainted since childhood, as were both prominent child recruits who did not flee from the extreme regimen that scared off the 100 others that Doflamingo recruited. And they enjoyed playing pranks on Corazon, the second Corazon, Doflamingo's biological brother. She was partnered with Buffalo during the Punk Hazard arc, and they demonstrated good teamwork. She sought to comfort from him when she got freaked out during Law's interrogation. However, he is still willing to selfishly take advantage of her helpful nature, asking her for a loan of $2 million in order to spend the money at a casino, which she does in fact hand over, and that $2 million gets added on to her $98 million debt, I think is what brings it to $98 million. Moving on to Lao Ji. Lao Ji is shown to have very little respect. This is a very common thread amongst all of the people in the Don Quixote Pirates. They treat her very much like trash, like the entire time. Every single person. So Lao Ji treats her like trash, right? Don Quixote Rocinante may have actually been probably the nicest person to her. But I think when they were interacting, he was playing the part of Corazon. He was already in the Navy. That we're just getting all over the place right now. But yeah, they were young, setting up pranks against Rocinante. He would fall for them due to his clumsiness. In return, they would Rocinante put up a front of disliking children, becoming physically abusive in the hopes of driving them out of the crew without compromising his true intentions. So out of all of the people, he was like the nicest with the good, and well, he was mean, but he's the only one that had good intentions. Alrighty. Alright, now we move on to her abilities and powers. Now, as a child soldier? As a child recruit in the Don Quixote Pirates, she showed promise from a very young age, being able to keep up with the extreme training regimen that the other 100 kids could not. Her and Buffalo were the only ones that stayed. She also appears to be a decent cook. As her husband, Sai, his favorite meal is bento made from her. Now, her physical abilities, she does appear to have a decent level of durability when she was shot with the pistol, appearing completely unharmed afterwards. She was durable enough to withstand attacks from General Frankie and Nami's homing lightning bolt, taking only a short time to recover. She has the strength to carry several big-ass weapons. I mean, like tank cannons on her back, one-handing them, straight arm firing them. She can do all of that. So her physical strength appears to be quite high. However, that may be, what's the word? It may be assisted, that's not the right word. It may be assisted by her devil fruit, which is the Buki Buki no Mi, which allows her to transform parts of or her entire body into weapons. So arms into suns or guns, gourds. Arms into suns, arms into swords or guns, as well as rocket launchers. She can change her entire body into a missile, which we see when we are first introduced to her in the Punk Hazard arc, which she turns into a missile, and Buffalo uses his propeller to fire her, so we know she can do that. Alongside her massive versatility of weapons that she can use due to her devil fruit, she can produce she appears to be a large Gatling gun and flamethrower, as well as a sword strapped to her thigh. She showed great skill in using the Gatling gun, having aimed at General Frankie from a distance, with the rounds causing quite some cumulative impact despite the robot's durability blocking any damage. She bought these on a whim due to her personality flaw and the salesman's sweet talk, despite the fact that, as noted by Buffalo, she is a weapon herself and does not need them. While storming the Dressrosa Palace, she was wielding a large grenade launcher. Alright, and we will wrap up with her history, her quite traumatic history. So, she was born in Quen Village, where her family only ever saw her as a burden. Her mom abandoned her in the mountains, saying that she was useless. Since then, Baby Five has become obsessed with serving others. At some point, she was found and recruited into the Don Quixote Pirates and had also eaten the Buki Buki no Mi by that point. At 8 years old, she was with the crew in Spider Miles, a port town in the North Blue, where she meets Trafalgar Law, and then they go through that whole thing with I'll probably go into more detail when we talk about Law specifically, but essentially she was a child soldier with him in Don Quixote's army, actively making fun of Law and Corazon the entire time. When Law was thrown out of a window by Corazon, she thought he died. She was making fun of him for it. They later witnessed she witnessed Law tripping Corazon. Law asked Baby 5 for money so he could buy ice cream. She gave it to him, yada, yada, yada. She was first seen on Dressrosa as an older person when Don Quixote do Flamingo was talking to Vergo. She was upset with Do Flamingo and kept trying to kill him, calling her captain a low-life bastard. So yeah, essentially her history is she was abandoned as a baby, given a great deal amount of trauma by her biological family, only to be picked up by probably the worst group of pirates that she could have been picked up by, where she was kept in this cycle of, hey, do this, hey, do that, or you're useless. Yeah, there's nothing really special that stands out in her history that makes me go, wow. Besides the part where she's in a fight with Sai, and Sai kind of like mockingly tells her to kill herself, and I'll even pull up the picture real quick here just so you guys can see it. She is willing and ready to do it. But yeah, that was I think the third video we did. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. If you guys want, you can hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell. That would mean the world to me as a growing YouTuber. And thank you guys so much for hanging out. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Peace.